righty, folks. Welcome back to the Mushing Alaska podcast. We're your hosts, Brendan and Sean. And God dang it, it feels good to be back, dude. It feels good to be back. How you doing, man?
Dude, 2023, 2024 mushing season. It's begun, dude. I woke up this yesterday morning and I went to work and I was like, man, I should have brought my gloves. Autumn is in the air, and I know that there's a number of dog teams that are already going out on their training runs, and so it's time for us to get out on our training run and press record, see what happens. It's been a few months since I've even seen you, dude. It's good to see you, bro. I fucking missed you.
Dude, I mean, seriously, like we met on here virtually about 11 minutes ago, and that's the only like FaceTime we've had in that 2 or 3 months. So it feels good to see you, man. I just have to comment. So I want to say we were talking about your hair in one of the previous episodes. You cut it off, all right, and you cut off the beard.
I did.
And
Yeah.
can you reveal yourself? Can we see what's going on right now?
There you go. You know,
Nice.
That's what I got. That's what I got rocking for the video people. And for people on Spotify, just know I look good.
You're damn right he does. Oh, jeez. So you haven't done anything. You haven't even like touched up your neckline.
I hit the neckline like a week ago. But like, dude, this is something that I was been thinking about for ever since I could grow a beard. Is like I haven't figured out like the perfect beard shaving process as far as like when you shave your beard and then the hairs trickle down into the sink, and then like to get the fucking hairs out of the sink. Like I never actually get all the hairs out, and I have like 7 hairs left, and it takes me like 9-10 minutes. You know, you think it's just like wipe it clean and it's done, you know, and it's just like, so that is why I like procrastinate my neckline and shaving my beard, and I'm just letting it grow out. And today it's kind of hot and it's kind of sunny, and I'm kind of wishing I shaved this thing, but you know, that's neither here nor there.
Dude, you know, it's funny you say that. So I recently started to get in the habit. All right. I got the beard. I'm rocking the bald thing. So I'm cutting it every 2, 3, 4, 5 days, whatever it is. But it was getting annoying. You know, it looks crappy having all your hair in the sink, right? So I got in the habit of keeping this small little towel right on the side, and it's literally only to like wet it and dampen it. And like when I'm done shaving, I like go around the sink and push all the hairs into the sink, and then I try to make my spot nice and clean. So,
dude, because then I run the water with the hair in the sink, right? I run the water and then it kind of collects most of the hair, but then like the angle of my sink isn't like it's kind of like a bowl with a flat bottom. So like, so you just like kind of gets to the bottom of the bowl, but not actually to the drain part. So I'm like, all right,
you got to kind of like, you know, push it down. Yeah.
Squeegee it in. Yeah.
That's it.
You know, and I don't, and then I can't get it in. And then it's just like, it's like if you're just picking up individual hairs essentially. And I need, you know, I grab a toilet paper to wipe it down, but then I feel like I'm just wasting toilet paper. You know, I'm trying to save the planet out here, dude.
You got to go with the towel, dude. That's why you got to go with the towel.
Yeah, then I get hairs all up in my towel. Then I get the hairs in the dirty towel with the hairs in it in my laundry. And now I'm getting dirty hairs in the rest of my, you know, and I don't know, dude. I'm scared to get a bunch of loose hairs in my towel. You know, dude, I don't know, dude.
I'm wondering, all right, so now I'm new to this bald game. For any of the listeners, I've been holding on to my hair for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years too long. I mean, I can grow hair out, but it's just thin and crappy, and there's a bald spot in the back too. It's not worth it. So you worked with Dallas. He's about my age.
Yeah.
He's rocking the bald look. Does he hit that thing every day? Do you know what his routine is? Like, can you fill us in? Because I'm like, should I adopt the Dallas CV way? Or
dude, you know that I gotta say, there's a lot of times working for Dallas where he shared a lot of knowledge with me about many things. But you know, some things you just got to keep guarded. some secrets you just gotta be left untold. And
I mean,
he never told me his. Firstly,
probably.
there's no relation there between. I have this pretty opposite problem, too much hair.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And then he's got the cue ball look, and so I'm
I was waiting for you to like the cue ball.
wait,
I was waiting for you to like
out of respect,
shame me,
respectfully,
Right. I was waiting for you to shame me, but you went there with it. I like that. Well, listen. Anyways, before we go too far down that hole,
yeah,
my guy, my brother.
Cheers dude.
To you, man. It's great to see you. It's good to be doing this again.
Yeah, man, it is.
So, you and I have had a chance to kind of talk a little bit about what you've been up to, but kind of tell us a little bit about your first experience doing your salmon run.
Yeah, dude, it was pretty crazy. I had commercial fish before, but it was set net fishing. It was my aunt and uncle. So we were like living in a cabin, and I get we do like fish for like 8 hours or something, and I get back and there's like burgers and like cookies and stuff waiting for me in there, and have a beer. It was easy fishing, but
Kay's
it was
cookies?
still like,
oh,
yeah, it was Kay's.
Coming back
my
from
aunt
that,
Kay's cookies, dude. By the way,
shout out Aunt Kay. Oh my
dude,
gosh.
Aunt Kay's the best. I still don't know if I want to say aunt or aunt, but that's
whatever.
I just pick a new one every time I say it.
Just say Kay. Hey, Kay.
I'll say Kay, but she's Aunt Kay. But anyways, dude, she makes these baller ass cookies, and she actually, her and Brad, her husband, my uncle, they sent us like a care package, and like, dude, the art of a care package to a boat is it's tough. Not everybody knows the right things to send. These guys sent a 2-gallon bags of these homemade cookies to the boat. Like, dude, it was clutch. And we just
how fast?
I mean, dude, there was like 60 plus cookies in there, like maybe 36 hours. Yeah. We were just, I mean, I was putting up,
that was
numbers,
your meal,
dude.
I was
putting
out
right? all time numbers, dude. I'm talking 20, 25 cookies a day, dude. No problem. Oh yeah. Easy peasy, dude. I felt bad for the people I was working with, because like they're not keeping track of how many cookies I'm eating, but I know deep down that I am definitely taking like by far the most cookies. And I'm like looking like I probably shouldn't take this next cookie. These guys, they probably need some more. I'm like, nah, dude.
Nah,
I'm gonna have one more cookie, and then I always had one more cookie. Anyways, so that was pretty awesome highlight. They also sent Costco peanut M&M thing that's like half a gallon of M&Ms. That was pretty clutch. Some dude, cilantro, lime, almonds. All right. Anyways, but the fishing was cool, man. We did good. When I tell people, hey, they ask me, how'd you do? And they're like friends, and they fish Bristol Bay. And I tell them like the number we got. They're like, oh, wow, you guys did pretty good. So like, I think we did above average as far as like our poundage. And then we got, a lower price. So I didn't get rich, unfortunately, which was kind of the plan. I don't know. It didn't really happen though, unfortunately. So
6-week plan to getting rich
did not happen. No, for last year we would have made, almost a full year's amount of money.
All right.
But last year,
I wish we had someone else on right now to answer this question. It's been eating me up ever since you told me. It just doesn't make sense. All right. Again, I'm the like casual person who doesn't know the ins and outs of Alaska, of the lifestyle, of mushing, all of that. So as it relates to this, what you told me is when the salmon season starts, they don't have the poundage, the price per pound set, and everyone goes out and they catch the fish. And then at the end of the season, after the fact, they determine the price per pound. And correct. I feel like that is backwards. And all right, fill me in.
Dude, you're not alone in that sentiment. And look, I'm a poor representation of fishermen because I did it. I was a rookie this year, I haven't been through it for years and have anything to compare things to. So having said that, like everything you hear from all these guys that have been doing it for, decades, they're just like, we need to fix the fact, like if you told us it was 50 cents a pound, which is what it was, that they were going to pay us, a lot of people wouldn't come out there because it's just not, it
It's a
doesn't
lot of
end up,
time.
you
It's a
got to
lot of
spend a lot of,
effort.
you got to fish for a season, you got to put a lot of money down just to, even if you already have a boat and you already have a permit, like just getting the boat ready and buying all the gear and, you are going to have to spend a lot of money. So just to get make some money and not lose money, you got to make a, some of these guys are 100,000+, $200,000 in the hole starting the season. Fortunately for us, we had a pretty like low key boat. It wasn't like the nicest boat or the newest boat. And so, for us to get out in the money, I think there was still a lot of pressure for us to like do well, but not as much as maybe some of the other boats that need, double the amount of pounds for them to be making some money. So yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like, imagine going to I don't know, like if you go to the market and you just like, I'm going to take a bunch of these hot dogs. And then they're like, all right, sick. You purchased them. And then after you're done, you're like, well, the market says I'm probably going to pay you $1 for all these hot dogs. You're like, wait, what? It's like,
Right.
that's not, so it's just kind of a weird like system, and it's based on like the market, and it's based on, but like, there's not some hard numbers that like you get to see like, oh, this is what the price was. This is how many we sold and last year versus how many we bought, and this is how much money we made. And because of that, this is, what the price, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's 50 cents,
I
but
guess I'm
they're going to get it up higher. Maybe there's rumors about that. And 50 cents is the base price. You still have like additional money that you're going to get because all the salmon are bled and chilled and floated. And for each of those things, you get extra money. So you get like 5 cents for this, 10 cents for that, and 20. So it ends up being closer to maybe 80 cents a pound. And then maybe they'll give us like after the fact, like, hey, we're sorry about the low price. We'll give you another 10 cents on that. There's rumors of something like that. So we might end up getting closer to $1. But yeah, people were not stoked, and there was like a strike. But I mean,
I guess my
all of
thing
us
is
on our
like
boat did just fine. I think we're going to all survive financially. We're going to be good.
the demand for salmon isn't getting less, though. I would imagine it's only continuing to stay the same or grow. And so that's where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm no econ major at all. So,
I actually am, and I still
oh,
know less than you about economics. So I'm going
okay.
to be
So I
honest.
shouldn't ask you about it, the supply
But
and demand
yeah, and
thing.
I think there's, I think anywhere I've ever gone in the United States, and not even here in Anchorage, I mean, people just don't value, like a lot of people just buy salmon, and it's like most of the salmon that you buy is probably farmed, and it doesn't say farmed salmon on it sometimes, and if it does, it's in the fine print. And there's probably some decent quality farm salmon from somewhere on the world, but it's just not even close to the quality of the meat and the health of it, and the all the, I don't know, man. All the good things are in the wild meat, and you look at a fillet that's wild and a fillet that's farmed, it's not even,
Not even
it's super
close.
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people don't really like go out of their way to get wild, and it's not like like at every single grocery store, Alaska fillets, aren't going to be all over every grocery store in Atlanta, but they are there.
They
And
are. They
yeah, I
are.
mean,
I
if
ate
you're
on one
listening to
last
this, tell
week.
your,
I was
yeah,
wondering, I was like, did Sean catch this as I was eating it?
could have been. Yeah. I mean, probably not though, but, uh, that friends don't let friends eat farmed salmon. That's kind of our saying up here. And yeah, so hopefully next year there's more of a price. Maybe I'll be out there again. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But yeah, I'm pleased with how it went, and don't want to get too lost in the weeds with it. But yeah, it was,
All right.
dude. There, yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So, question. All right. So we just discussed the salmon, the fishing. I mean, it was hard, right? You're not conditioned like a fisherman is conditioned. So talk to me about that.
Well, not only that, but like I also just been living life pretty easy going over since I stopped working at Dallas's, and since I kind of stepped away from the everyday mushing scene. And so there's just like a floor of physicality that comes with being a dog handler, being in a dog yard. You're walking around with 5-gallon buckets full of water and food and just lifting stuff and everything. You're always just kind of working with your hands. And I hadn't done a whole lot of that in the last year. So I was like, and it wasn't like I was just hitting the gym all the time, so went into it like pretty, just feeling soft. And then we started like catching fish, and then you're like, the first day you're fresh and you're like, you can work 18 hours straight and you're like, this is sick. Like freaking loved it today. And you're just grinding and putting in as much as you can. And then you like wake up the next day and your body's like kind of sore, but all right, I can do that again. And then you wake up the third day and it's like, I got hit by a train, and yeah, it was super physical. And a lot of, I remember Wade told me on the podcast with him that it's harder than the Iditarod. And I was thinking about that a lot, I don't think that we pushed as hard as we could have, because we had, the skipper was a rookie skipper and he was on a new boat. So we didn't want to fly too close to the sun. So we played it kind of safe in that sense. And, but yeah, there was a lot of similarities between mushing and the fishing. First, they both end in shing. Pretty funny, right? And but also, of course, it's physical outside. It's you getting little sleep. You kind of have a similar schedule: work for 7 or 8 hours, sleep for a couple hours, work for work for 6, 7, 8 hours, sleep for a couple hours. And then you got like the people that are out there, like the Iditarod. You got people trying to win the race. You got people trying to catch the most fish in all of Bristol Bay. You got people trying to just beat their personal best and get to the finish line. And like Matt Failer, top 10. He wanted a top 10. He got it. You got people, we want to break 200,000 pounds. That's what we're aiming for. And you got people that are just like, I just want to like be out here and like, make a little bit of money and, be safe. And so you got all the spectrums. Then you got like the same talk that you hear about mushing is like, people are like, yeah, and you're around the mushing scene, you're like, yeah, I think this might be my last Iditarod. I think, it's just, we'll see how, and then you see him again next year, signed up for the race, running it again, and the next year, and the next year, and every time you hear this, it's just not, we're not making enough money, and you just make it happen because you love it so much. And same with fishing, everyone's kind of like, yeah, dude, I don't think I'm kind of think I'm ready to move on from this, and then boom, they're back, so they kind of have that tone of that love it, but also it's, takes its toll on you mentally and physically. And certainly I didn't feel like I was 19 out there. I definitely felt my age. I'm not saying I'm that old, but being 31, you definitely like don't recover as fast as you might 10 years ago. And yeah, I was always just looking back on my mushing experience, thinking like, all right, I did that, I can do this. But it was hard, and there were some tense moments, and yeah, I am glad I did it. And as you look back on it, and you like what the Iditarod, I look back on it, I'm like, it wasn't that hard, was it? And same with fishing. I look back on it, and 3 days after it was the hardest day I've ever had working on the boat, I'm like, it wasn't that bad. So it's like you forget the pain and you remember like the cool stuff and the positivity of it all. And that's kind of how I feel it is with mushing too. You kind of forget the discomfort pretty quickly.
Dude, I love what you just did there. You gave us the rundown, but like kind of connecting it back to the mushing scene. That was good connecting of the dots there. I like that. And most importantly, they both end in shing. So
yes, they do end in shing. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So All right, before we'll move on because I
That's
feel
just
like we
funny.
could talk about this for a while. But
I really
uh,
appreciated the 3 seconds of silence after I said that joke.
well, I had my finger up. I don't know if you could see it. I was kind of like, oh, but I was just like right here, so you couldn't really see it.
Okay.
Um, so for those of you who don't watch on YouTube, I literally had it like barely in the screen, and that's what that's why he was like, "Oh, that was an awkward silence." Um, dude, did you see any aliens? Come on, come on, tell me you saw some
Dude.
aliens, bro. Like while you were gone, they announced that there are aliens, and I was just like,
Oh
surely
yeah.
Sean saw something. You were out on the ocean for freaking 2 months. Like you didn't see anything above you. You didn't like see any portals where they like entered the ocean. Did you see like some like mermen or mermaids swimming next to you, giving you good vibes, singing to you? Nothing. Northern Lights, at least something.
No, it's pretty far south for the Northern Lights, and it's barely dark anyways because it's light out. And uh, no, dude, I wish I could tell you some cool answer, but I mean, I don't know. I'd say we saw some whales and some porpoises swimming around, and the underwater scene is pretty. It's pretty alien like down there. We had this one set that was near the shore, and it was just really shallow water. And then like I saw like sometimes we get like flounders in there when it's on shallow water. And I was like, I looked up at my crew guy, Rob, and I was like, dude, how many flounders? He's like, what's the over under on flounders on the set? And you got like 900 feet of net. So he was like, I was like, what, you think like 20? And he was like, I think maybe like 100. And there was like, dude, we were like, we had the net like totally loaded. We're like looking at it like, dude, we got so many, we just got rich on this set. This is gonna be sick. You're like, man, if this is like a 10,000 pound set, I made $1,000. Like this will be sick. And then you pull it in, it was like literally over half of it was flounder. So we're just like picking up flounder and tossing it back in the water. And it's like, you're picking flounder out and you're making $0 on it. So that's the closest thing to aliens was the flounder.
Fair enough. All right. Well, again, I have more questions, but maybe we'll circle back around to it at the end.
Brennan's a pseudo conspiracy theorist, but not really.
Listen,
you're not like flat Earth in it. You're like a reasonable conspiracy guy. Like
I
there's some.
just don't believe everything that I'm being told at face value. And,
Oh
and
yeah, dude.
it goes back to a very scarring experience. Okay. So if you're going to throw me under the bus, we got to explain what's going on here. So I was born on Christopher Columbus Day. My middle name is Christopher. And I grew up my entire life as a young kid thinking Christopher Columbus is this badass dude. He found America. And me, I am middle named after that son of a bitch. Right. So I grew up all the textbooks that I remember up until freshman year. I very vividly remember it. Did you have Mr. Cook by any chance?
Coach
He was
Cook.
still there, Coach Cook.
Oh yeah, dude. Of course.
All right, he shattered me. And thank you. He's probably not listening. He's not one of the 150, but he was like, Christopher Columbus was an asshole. He didn't find America. He killed all the people when he got here. He brought a bunch of disease and this, that, and the other. And it just shattered me. I remember going home and being like, questioning, like, wait, like my parents, my family, they named me after a good person. What the fuck is this? And so ever since then, I don't take everything at face value. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
question things. Sometimes certain things I question are a little bit too far. But
You
yeah,
got to question it, and then maybe sometimes your questions end up being not valid, but you got to ask the question still, even if the answer is no.
If you think that only one person shot JFK, then you're just part of the herd, man.
You kidding me?
On, get the fuck
You
out
think
of
we
here.
landed on the moon, dude? Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Yeah, dude. Look, the thing about Christopher Columbus, you can spin it him being a bad guy, but you can also do the whole it was 1492, it's a different time. People were killing people, So it's like you keep it in perspective. It's not excusable, but
I
it
don't know.
is like, all right, don't beat yourself up after your last name being named after a guy who was going and doing this manifest destiny thing in a time and place where that was a culturally normal thing to do. Well, now we look back on it and you're like, oh, that guy's an evil guy. It was just kind of an evil time. I don't know. It's a
That's
tricky thing to look
That's
at.
tricky. I want to rebuttal that, but in this for the sake of not getting lost, I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm not.
Um,
I'm not saying that that's like my opinion, but I'm just saying like there is
no,
like
no,
another
no,
side of the coin.
hundred
You know.
percent,
Yeah.
100%. But as it relates to why I am low key a conspiracy theorist,
Low
that's
key.
why low key. I
So
don't
low,
know.
dude. The key is so low. All right.
I don't know. I have questions about Maui, but let's just not go there right now.
Let's
Let's
not.
just
Let's
not
not,
go
dude. It's
there.
not a political podcast.
So let's switch over, man.
Could be
You were
though.
gone. We had the signups. We are like you began the podcast. We are in the 23-24 mushing season, bro. It has begun, and there were 26 signups. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Dude, it's a pretty sick list of mushers. I was like, I don't know. I looked at it like I kind of half-assed looked at it a few weeks ago, and I was like, I was like, okay, not that many people in the race. But then I started like looking at it just now, and I was like, I haven't done a ton of research, and this is kind of our first glance, first reaction, first thoughts to the mushing lineup. All right, we haven't done a ton of homework, but we also have, as it says on the Iditarod website, how many days we got? They had
Dude,
a great clock, 197 days, 18 hours,
197.
and 2 minutes.
We are
Okay,
sub
so
200 days. I like
sub 200 days, dude.
when you said that before we started, in my head, I was just like thinking to myself, I'm like, man, the season's like the Iditarod itself is so far away. And then you were like 197 days. And I was like, holy hell. Like these people are the people that want to win, they're already kicking it into maybe not high gear, but they're in gear, that's for sure.
Yeah, dude. It's you're getting those autumn runs in for sure. And dude, I mean Jesse Holmes has been, probably mushing all summer, and he'll go out 2, 3 in the morning, guys, just kind of always keeping his dogs stimulated. I mean, so is everybody. He's got a lot of these folks have I think Jessica Kleka has her dogs out on a glacier, some of them at least, and doing tourism. And so they've been running in the snow all summer. Same with Dallas. Same with Travis Beals. A lot. Riley Dyke, dude. Been really cool to see. Riley is at the Iditarod headquarters giving cart tours, and they have different mushers there every year. Sometimes maybe people have been back for multiple years, but it's cool to see him out there and running the dogs and representing Iditarod at the Iditarod headquarters. So you got people have been moving their dogs, and the summer for mushing, they're not just like all rest and recovery for the dogs. They're like rest and recovered within, sometimes in some cases at the finish line, they're already ready to keep going and fully ready to rock. Maybe they need a week off. Maybe they need a day off, and they need a couple weeks off. But then in the summer, you're still gonna either, in some cases, you might be running your dogs in harness in the early wee hours of the morning when it's the coolest temperatures, or you're waiting for a rainy day, or there's plenty of puddles on the trail for them to cool off and go on these runs. You don't want to keep them totally like not moving. There might be a couple of dogs where you're like, oh, he's had this wrist thing that's just been persisting for a while. Let's just completely not have him run in harness at all for 8 weeks or something, and just see if this thing completely heals, because it's only been 80% healed. So you get those opportunities in the summer. And and then letting them be dogs. Like if you have a running pen for them, a fenced in area for them to just be loose and running around and engaging with their teammates, you know, building up that camaraderie and letting them smell the smells and pee on all the different blades of grass, and or taking them out, just loose on the trail, depending on where you live. If you live really close to the road, maybe you're using that pen. But if you're like, Jesse Holmes or Cody and Paige, who live out in the middle of nowhere, they can probably just let their dogs loose and go out on a half day hike with them and let them run around. So that's what summer's all about. It's kind of keeping the dogs stimulated and moving a little bit, but you're not really starting some kind of training regimen necessarily.
When when they're taking their dogs out on runs, like how long can a run go? You mentioned now they're most likely doing the runs like either in the rain or in the early part of the day when it's the coolest, but like I'd imagine still they're not able to do it for, hours. Is just like maybe an hour or just curious.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty rare if anyone ever went over like 20 miles. But you know, that's kind of like ask a musher, each musher, and probably you ask all 30 mushers, you might get 30 different answers. My experience has been that you're running them like a single digit mileage. So, 2 to 10 miles. And it depends on the temperature too. You know, when you start seeing the dog's breaths and it's in the 40s, not all, the stoke gets like even higher on the dog's level, where when it's a 70-degree day, they're all just lounging and they're like laying down and taking it easy. You can see like their energy ebb and flows with the temperature. But they're certainly capable of just like cold turkey, like zero training and running a 20-mile run. You probably take some breaks and you want to make sure it's cool out. But it doesn't, just because they're capable of it doesn't mean you necessarily do that. I saw Jesse, on his Instagram, he had run his dogs 20 miles at least on one or two occasions this summer. But there's dogs that are going to get these higher mileages and there's dogs that'll get the lower mileages, and they'll probably still be right in the same top 10 area. Jessie Royer, I don't think she's known to particularly have high mileage for her training. But she's been up there in that winning position on multiple occasions, or near it. So yeah, it just kind of depends on what you want from your dogs and what your idea of summer training and stimulation is.
And so you like, do you think that the different mushers have different setups? Like I know that when I visited you and you were working at Jeff's, he's got like that big like hamster wheel. I don't
Yeah.
know the for lack of better terms.
No, that's
That's
literally kind of what it is. Yeah.
right. And then I know he also had set up like a almost like a conveyor belt where you can like you harness your dogs. The dogs are attached to like a 4x4, but they're just running on a like a treadmill, but a long treadmill, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
I
like
mean,
Dallas has something like that in a truck, but it wasn't working when you were there, kind of thing. Like, so my point is, there's maybe unconventional ways and there's maybe unconventional setups that these mushers are maybe putting their dogs through right now.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. Dallas and Jeff's treadmills, those guys are arguably, when you look at like who has the most resources in mushing, and they earned it, to be very clear. But it's Jeff and Dallas. It was Boozer. These guys have capital and they've earned it, and they have the ability they've spent their money on a treadmill, which is kind of insane to have a sled dog treadmill. It's pretty wild. I've been around a couple of them now, but that's definitely exceptional. That's not what you're going to see in most dog yards. A lot of people send their dogs there's different glaciers around Alaska that have helicopter tours. So people will fly in helicopters and they'll land there, and you have set up a dog camp with sled dog houses, and your team and sleds, and there's like little huts or whatever for the employees that they live there all summer, dogs and people. And then the helicopter tours come up and they take people out on rides in the snow on a sled in the summer. So a lot of those dogs, some of them are specifically for tourism, because some people would say that if you have a sled dog, you want your racing team to stay kind of sequestered from the tourism side of things. But that's a luxury. Some people have half their kennel be a tourism dogs, and some people half their kennel isn't. They're the race dogs, right? But a lot of people send their race dogs up to the glacier, and they're moving all summer. The conditions are typically really soft and punchy snow with, you know, a heavier load than they would have in any winter, race. So
Winter
they come
race?
back,
Really?
or yeah, the load that they're taking on a glacier, a fully loaded sled, empty, it's what, like 25 pounds or so. Then you probably have like 100 pounds of gear, maybe. And then, let's say your weight's 200 pounds. So that's what, less like
Less than
350,
500.
325,
Less than
less than
yeah.
500, certainly. Well, like on Dallas, I work, I only been at Dallas's sled setup, but like, me 200, the sled was much heavier. It was probably 50. And then you got two people, and sometimes those two people are my weight. So that's like, 700, and there's even more extreme situations. So they were jacked, dude. And so when they get back from the glacier, this time was off time for them. We'll take it. Let's give them a couple weeks off. These guys are like overpowered. They're too strong. Like, we want them to get in the marathon mode, not in the bodybuilder mode. So there's a little bit of a transition from being like a tour dog to race training. And then there's all the small kennels. There's a lot of people with just their little group of dogs. They're not going to glacier. They're hanging out with them in the summer. They're just going on walks. There's no pressure to run them. We got September for that. Some people won't start training until September 1st, or maybe even October 1st for some people. So yeah, like I said, there's just a million different ways to skin a cat but I guess that's kind of going to be like a canceled thing now. I can't say skin a cat. No, I'm going to say it. There's a million different ways to skin a cat, dude.
All right. There we go. So I wanted to follow back up on, you brought up how Riley's working at the Iditarod headquarters. And I've only been following this with you since you were working there, so not very long. Is it typical that you have an Iditarod veteran as seasoned as Riley is working there? Is the first question, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. And so is that like a situation that like the headquarters is providing him like a place to stay and stuff, or is it just work out because he's close by that he can come to the headquarters?
I'm pretty sure it's kind of, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know they kind of have an agreement. Of course, he's got his dogs on their property, and maybe they put him up, but he doesn't live nearby. So I'm assuming they have a spot for him, or maybe he just rented a spot near there. I'm not sure. I believe Ryan Reddington gave tours there like within the last 5 summers. Maybe he did 1 or 2 summers there. Yeah, so there's like a number of Iditarod veterans have been in Riley's shoes in previous summers. But yeah, I'm not sure what exactly the setup is, but I just kind of see the occasional social media post from Riley.
Yeah, no, I've seen some stuff from him, and I've enjoyed seeing, whether it's on his page or on that Ditarod's page, they've both shared some things, and I just think that would be kind of cool to be visiting, go to the headquarters, and then you get a tour from someone who's done the Iditarod. That sounds pretty cool. So I was just kind of curious about some of how that works. So yeah. So we got 26. There's now 30 signed up. but let's see, there were 17 veterans and there were nine. Yeah, that's 17 and nine is 26 and nine newbies. Um, I'm interested to get to know these folks a little bit better, you know. I think with us doing this like throughout the season, we'll definitely have to have some of those new folks on. And I'm curious to kind of hear their mindset. I guess last year we talked to Eddie before the race, and he was kind of like the one person that we happen to know that also was a rookie. But I'd like to definitely connect with some of those rookies. And I mean, you can kind of share your experience having been in their shoes before. But I mean, like I said, there's a bunch of good names in here. Um, you know, just thinking about the top, I'm looking at Brent, I'm looking at Dallas, I'm looking at Ryan, I'm looking at I mean, do we throw Eddie up there? I don't know. He's going through a change with dogs. Maybe he's not up there. Maybe he's top 10, but not like top five. I don't know. Where's your head's at? Where's your head at when you see this list?
Well, like of super and similar to last year, small field, but pretty competitive. Like top 10 is not gonna you're gonna earn it. You know, you got plenty of people that deserve to be in there. And I think, you know, you have a lot of people returning. I think some of the bigger storylines would be like the Barrington twins, first time in like 10 or so years that they're not both in the race. And, you know, super understandable. It's hard to field two teams out of one kennel. And they have a small kennel too. So they kind of always are just able to fill in the last couple spots of each team. And I'll be kind of interesting to see what Anna does with not she's going to be kind of mushing solo dolo out there and not having her twin Christy out there with her to bounce ideas off. So I'm excited to see kind of what their intentions are for the race. You know, good to see Travis Beals back in it. You know, he's going to be running and gunning to be up there, and you know, I'm looking at these guys that weren't in it last year. You know, Rob Cook is kind of fun to see. A lot of people ask me, you know, and anyone that is wondering about sled dogs that has no idea about them, they always ask like, "Oh yeah, huskies." Like I have a husky, and they're like, no, like these are like Alaskan Huskies. And then you try to explain what an Alaskan Husky is. It's not one standard appearance. You know, they could be 80 pounds or 40 pounds. They can be male. They can be female. They can have pointy ears, floppy ears, brown, black, white, doesn't matter. But we're breeding for their ability to be a good sled dog. You know, their desire and drive to run and pull, good appetite, tough feet, and good demeanor. You know, you don't care really about how they look. But there's always been, especially back in the day before I was following this race, when you had 70, 80 mushers, 90 mushers in the race, there'd be a race within the race, like kind of like the rookie race, right? Who's going to win rookie of the year? But it'd be who has the fastest Siberian Husky team. And this year we know the answer to that question. I think it's going to be Rob Cook because I don't think there's any other Siberian Husky teams in it, but maybe I'm wrong. Still got to learn about a couple of these names I don't recognize. But Rob Cook, he's got all Siberian Huskies, and dude, he's a badass team. Like we always, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that run Alaskan Husky dogs are kind of like, oh yeah, there's like the Alaskan Husky, and then there's like the lowly Siberian Husky. But I've seen his dogs on a trail, and they're pretty badass dogs. They're not the fastest, but he's certainly beaten plenty of Alaskan Husky teams. He's run the Yukon Quest a number of times, the 1,000-mile Yukon Quest. Probably, I think more times than he's ran the Iditarod. So he's just a hardened guy. He's also British, which makes things fun. We love British accents, right, Brennan? And then he lives in Canada, and I'm excited to see him out there. He's got like he's a really good guy to get a funny quote from out there. And I was trying to remember the quote that I heard from him when we were on Birch Creek on the quest, and it was 40 something below zero, and he came and he just was not in the greatest mood, but he was cracking jokes, but they were kind of like, bitter jokes. It was pretty funny.
We got so real quick on that. So he's got like the British accent, but with like some of the Canadian like sayings as well, you know?
Yeah, maybe,
Is he
I'm
like
sure he's picked up some stuff from there. But yeah, I mean, I think he's been in Canada for like maybe, less than 15 years of his life, but I'm sure he's got some isms from there, but it's just fun he's got the Siberian thing going. He's from England. He's Canadian, lives in Canada, and I love his following him on Facebook, and I'm excited to see what he's going to bring as far as like just good times to the race, and maybe, with a small field, it'll be kind of interesting to see, like, maybe he can sneak into the top half of this race. You got a small field. A lot of, you always have these teams that get that, inevitable stomach bug or whatever, and they kind of fall back, and then maybe his team will be the one that's kind of there lurking, ready to make a move, but maybe he'll be back in the back of the pack too. Who knows? Then you got Jeff Dieter, his wife, Katie Joe, just got her first finish last year. So he's, Katie Joe, we were just loving on her, last year. She had a really good fast runs. And so it seems like they got a great dog team, and Jeff is, he's, I think he's been the musher representative in the Iditarod committee, and he's just a good face for mushing. So it's good to see him back in it.
Is that a potential to sneak in a top 10 right there?
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's kind of like, how like Matt Failer, you're like, wow, it's surprising he hasn't gotten into the top 10. And then Matt pulled it off last year. I think Jeff is kind of somewhat in the same boat. But yeah, we'll see what he does. I'm really, really excited to see Gabe Dunham back in it. Her and I shared the trail together in 2020. And so she hasn't been in the race since then, I believe. And she ended up having, her dogs got sick, and then she pulled out of the race somewhere near the coast. So this is her redemption run, try to get that elusive finish line. And we also worked for the same musher, different times, but we worked for Rachel Sidoris for a little bit. And so we had a lot to talk about, and she's a really cool person. So I'm stoked to see her in it. Laura Eklund, he's a rookie this year. I know you've exchanged some messages with him. He lives he lives a lot of the year up in the Arctic and up in the Brooks Range, and he's got like,
I can't wait to have him on. He's gonna have some stories, man. He's gonna, at least for me, it's gonna blow my mind. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, that's how we started talking. Like, he posted some crazy picture, and I was just like commented on it. So, anyways,
he's sponsored by some famous like clothing brand. It's like a fashion, but like also kind of outdoorsy brand. I can't remember what it's called, but I watched some sick commercial with him in it. It was kind of cool. Also, I've never heard of Erin Altimus, and we're going to do more research on it, but she has her profile here. She's from, lives in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
30 dogs, and she's been wanting to run the Iditarod for years. And, things are coming together for her to be able to pull it off this year. So we're excited to see Erin out there. And then Anna Hennessy just signed up. She's qualified this last winter, and so it'll be exciting. She's got a pretty cool photo of her big blonde hair flowing in the wind with the sun shining. Seems like a cool girl, and I've never met her. I don't know much, but she's from the same area as Erin, so I'm sure that they know each other. And maybe they even have worked together. But yeah, she's working. Shameless Huskies Kennel is an Iditarod kennel, I believe. I've been there actually before, and so there's some good dogs. There's my Iditarod veteran dogs in that kennel, so she should be set up for success. And we excited to learn more about her, and lots of returning names, of course. Jessica Kleka, I think she took last year off, but she ran the Cusco. She's someone who's been going. She's going to be going for the top 10, and she's gotten into I believe, the top 20 in the past, and she's just looking to improve. And it's fun to see. She's married. She's got a kid. She's an accomplished veterinarian with her own practice, and now she's running her third or something Iditarod, and she's going to be being as competitive as she can. You got Connor McMahon, dude, a classic musher bio, dude. One sentence: I worked with dogs since I was 15 years old, and once I worked with dogs, it is all I've done since. I know nothing about him except for he's been in some races. I've seen his name. He lives in the Yukon Territory. So we're excited to see him out there. And he was at the banquet, it looks like. You got the Mumford and Sons, the Lost Mumford. I'm sure that he gets that all the time. So I'm sorry for picking the low hanging fruit.
You had to go there.
Had to go there. But yeah, Bryce Mumford, 43, lives in Idaho. He's run a lot of those races down there, lower 48. I've heard about this Eagle Crap Extreme 200 in Oregon, in Eastern Oregon in the mountains. And apparently it's like pretty gnarly race. And so, those races down there, you might, they're in some way, and some of them might just be just as tough as any of the ones up here. Who knows? But yeah, we're excited to see these rookies, and Deke's back in it. Amanda's back in it. Amanda Otto, she took last year off from Iditarod, but ran some other races. And I think, she's going to be looking to crack that top 10 too for her first time. So we'll see
definitely
what she does with those Jeff King dogs. Mats Peterson, he took last year off. He's been in this race a bunch. Super savvy veteran. This is the first time he's ever been in the race with 30 people in it. And sure, there could be more, but I don't think it's going to be a ton more mushers in it. And Will Rhodes, who's Brenda Mackey's husband, I think. So he's been around some badass dogs. And he's going to have a great team. And so I think Brenda's been in the race, and she's been one of the best mid-distance racers in the world. And so got some great dogs there. And then Josh Robbins, dude, it was kind of cool to check out his website. Got a good website. Not all the mushers got, all their websites together. This guy's a veteran of the military, and he, had his struggles with coming back from overseas, and found sled dogs as the way to cope with returning to civilian life. And now he has like a tour that he gives for veterans and also for anyone else that wants to go to it. And that's a cool story, man. You love to see that he's not the only veteran musher, military veteran musher. I know of a few of them, and it is I imagine, a really good way to kind of, with that, I imagine it's pretty hard to come back to regular life after, being in a gunfight. So yeah, that's awesome to see, and it's a cool story. And I'm looking forward to learning more about Joshua. And let's see, we've got Dallas back in it. He's probably any race he's in, he's won the damn thing 5 times. He's the favorite. That doesn't matter if Ryan is the reigning champ or Brent won it, more recently. It's, Dallas won it 5 times. And so the reality is he's the favorite. Isaac T. he's one of my best friends. I don't want to.
Shout out to Isaac, baby.
But yeah,
we got to have him back on.
Oh yeah. I talked to him for like an hour yesterday on the phone. So he's real excited, and he's got, a team that he's known since they were puppies, and he's been working for Dallas for 5 years.
I can't believe that. That's impressive.
It is. Not many people can hang around the Dallas for 5 years. I mean, or hang around any kennel for 5 years, and so it says a lot about his relationship with the dogs, and with that whole setup over there. No, I didn't mean that as like shade against Dallas. I was just saying, like, most times people don't
look at you. Like,
I'm just a little bitch. So
but still, like, you only lasted so long with Jeff. After a while, you had to go to another place. And like, I mean, I still,
it just happens. Like, there's an expiration date to these things. So it's
right. And I
takes
still
a
think you have a
certain,
good relationship with Dallas. I don't think there's any
yeah,
love lost. I just think you were like, yo, I got to get out of here.
yeah, I got to do my thing.
And
But
also, Isaac's a much more tough badass than you, anyway. So
this is true. This
yeah,
is one.
exactly.
It's in the beard.
I had to throw you.
Um,
I had to throw you under the
that's
bus,
fair.
bro.
Yeah. And then the last one on the list, Josie Thur, and yeah, I don't know much about her, but she worked for Jesse Royer, and uh, she lives in Fairbanks and has worked for Aaron Burmeister, so she's got some good veteran knowledge on her side, and I'm not sure if she has her own team or what the deal is there, but excited to see these new faces. We need more of those new faces in the race, and so I think we both need to go out of our way to see what we can learn. Maybe reach out to some of these folks and see if they would be willing to talk to us at some point in the next 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. And if anyone's listening, like y'all can reach out to us, Instagram, Facebook. You can email us, whatever. We're accessible. We'd love to have folks on. We have quite a bit lined up for you guys, honestly, with some future episodes. Super excited about that. But we don't want to forget about uh like the new folks, or people that are doing this and not necessarily trying to win it. So we want to try to cover the entire spectrum. So I'm looking forward to connecting with some of these folks down the road, and it's nice to get this one under our belt, our first one back together in a little while. So um let's see, I have two questions. All right.
Oh, I like this.
All right, so first one is thoughts on, there's some big names that didn't sign up this year. Can you fill in the blanks on whom we might see sign up down the road, slash who we're definitely not seeing? For example, Wade told us in our episode he's not back next year. So like that's a big name. We know for a fact he's not signing up. I don't know, unless for some reason he gets a crazy bug, which shout out to Wade. I just saw a post the other day that he had his child. I think it was a girl, I think. So shout out, congratulations.
Congrats,
Um
Mr. Iron Wade.
Iron Wade. So yeah, I'm just curious if there's, we don't have who are the names I'm thinking of from last
Pete
year?
and Richie.
There we go. Pete and Richie haven't signed up. Are they going to pull the same number they did this last year? And just some other names too.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if they signed up. I don't know, like I'm not in the know with them or anything, but I remember someone telling me from somewhere in the mushing world that they were planning on not running this year, and they've also been in it like every year for like a long time, and Dallas has taken years off, and I think that's kind of like maybe a little bit more normalized now. Is that you don't have to pull a Martin Boozer and run 39 straight Iditarods. It's just takes a lot. They both have kids that are really young, and I think family's a little bit more of a priority. And you know what though, I all but guarantee they're going to be in the Cusco 300. So
That's
and in fact, I'm even almost as much of a guarantee that one of those two boys is probably going to win the Cusco. So
challenge to any other mushers listening. Challenge, come on! I want to see someone else win. Take the title from them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
So let's see. Like, we know Matt Thaler's not coming back.
No, not this year.
What about like
could come back.
Dan Caduce? Is he?
Yeah, that's a good name. Yeah, I wonder about that. I haven't seen anything on their socials at Two Claw Kennel, but I'm assuming that all these guys that didn't sign up, except for Wade because he's in the lower 48, but are probably going to run some kind of race. The dogs, they got to run. They want to run. They need to run. They need to work.
I was curious
Um,
about Bailey as well. I know that
yeah.
he was doing a lot of running. I'm surprised I didn't see him. Maybe that's something he's got to work towards. I don't know.
I don't know what this final sign up date is, but it's something to certainly look for because at some point there's like the date that's like the final date for like the $4,000 entry, and
Right.
then you can sign up like really late, but you got to pay extra money. Um, so yeah, that's a date to look for, and I think it's in like November maybe. Um, because before that date, you can have people that did sign up can back out, and people that haven't signed up can still sign up. And the benefit of these guys signing up on June 26th or whatever the sign up date is that they all get their names put in a hat to get a free entry fee. And do you know, Brennan, who won the free entry fee?
Yes, I remember seeing it, but then I free entries, Brent Sass and Eddie Burke.
All right, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, we always. It's funny. Like, I mean, Eddie's a small mushing. He's spending tens of thousands of dollars on his new property that he's getting his dog set up on, and so I'm sure that $4,000 is very welcomed, and of course, it's welcome to Brent. It's always kind of funny. Like everybody's rooting for like the poorest mushers to get the $4,000, but then like it seems like more often than not, it's like the people that are there every year that kind of have their finances somewhat figured out are the ones that win it. You know, like Brent has probably got pretty solid financial situation through mis sponsors or whatever. I'm not sure. I don't really know. Maybe I'm just talking shit. Maybe he's super broke and that's super helpful to him. I'm not sure. But yeah, Brent and Eddie, congrats on saving $4,000. That's huge.
absolutely. Absolutely. And then so that was my first question. And then my last question, well, not a question, it's really a topic, something to discuss. Was something that if you guys are following us on Instagram, which we didn't do our like and subscribe if you're not already doing that on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. But you just posted today about HBO
Dude.
Real Sports, which is something. So I happen to have HBO here
Oh,
in the
sick.
ATL area, and Real Sports is a show that I like to watch or at least record and go back and see some of the stories. And so they're doing a piece on the Iditarod. I don't know what did you see on it? Is it just on the
Yeah,
Iditarod? Is it
no,
on
I think
Mushing?
it's
Is it only on Jason Mackey? Is it on the Lance Mackey? And it just happens to be Jason that they're interviewing.
yeah, it is about the Mackey family. You know, I think the dad is Rick Mackey, maybe, and he was one of in the like original Iditarod, and I saw him actually at the Connect 200, and he was wearing he was real popular with everybody there. A ton of respect for him. And then of course Lance and Jason Mackey, and how they're come up to being, you know, the Iditarod champion Lance, and then how that kind of fell apart in his battle with addiction. And and then let me see what the post said. Um,
I'll be I'll be curious. So if anyone is listening who doesn't
Here, I
is
have
not
it here.
familiar with Real Sports or hasn't watched it before, they are
Sick.
one of the few um one of the few folks that will go and talk about things that no one else is talking about. So like I've seen like they did a story on FIFA um on soccer and how FIFA is like completely corrupt. And this was before like it was a thing. And they've done that with, you know, like horse racing and like child labor and all sorts of stuff. So they are the type to go there to ask difficult questions. And so I'm excited that they're doing this, but I'm curious to see, how what the spin is, because it's easy, I feel like, to show the sport of mushing in a bad light. And so I'm wondering, like, are they more focused on the story of the Mackies and just kind of like the roller coaster ride that is the Mackies? Or are they kind of talking more about mushing and some of the controversial aspects of it? So I'll be curious to see what they do, but we'll have to talk about it down the road on a future episode. What
Yeah.
have you read anything or got anything
Well,
else that
yeah,
you want to
just
add?
kind of they're gonna do like part of it's about the Mackey family, and I guess part of it's just about like athletic canines talking about those dogs that I think like the dogs that run off the dock to like chase a toy or whatever and see who gets the longest jump. And they're gonna it sounds like it's like kind of more than half of it's about the Mackeys, and then a significant chunk of it is going to be about just like dog competitions, I guess, in across the country. So yeah, it's kind of cool
Well,
that mainstream, sports come and check that out. And dude, I mean, Lance Mackey was like bigger than mushing. I mean, he really was. The guy, what's crazy, dude, he went to the ESPYs.
I know.
And
That's so
dude, he
crazy.
met like he probably met like Tom Brady and like, all like the who's who, like, LeBron James and all these huge names, and he was out there with them, at the ESPYs. It's just kind of funny.
I feel like
And so, it's
I
cool
f-
to see that kind of bigger attention coming back to the Mackies. So and to mushing, we need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm like I said, I'm just curious to see what they do and how they do it, and we'll definitely talk about it. So for those of you who have access to HBO, be on the lookout. I'm sure if you don't have access to HBO, I'm sure there are ways to find the clip one way or another
Yeah,
after it
Brennan's
comes out.
gonna publicly share his username and password to everybody that donates to our. No, we don't have a fund, but yeah, Brennan's just for free. He's gonna give you guys his HBO. That's what he told me.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll just live stream it for you guys, and then we could save it as a reel, and then you guys can just go in and watch it as you please. Well, yeah, man, that's kind of what I had on my list today. It's I don't know if there's anything else that has caught your eye or grabbed your attention since we last did one of these.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like, dude, training starting, season started. We're time to get into sled dog mode, and I'm gonna. I've been talking with a few friends of mine in the race, and I'm gonna probably get to run some dogs here in the fall and a couple of different spots. So hopefully that'll come with some good, stories or footage or interviews or whatever. So excited for what's to come for us and for mushing this winter, this season. So cheers to the first episode down. Many more to go.
Yeah, I guess what are we officially calling this the beginning of season 2?
Yes, I think we
All
are.
right, I like it.
I think
All
we are.
right. Well, good deal. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Glad to do it with you again. Until the next one.
Dude, always a pleasure.